Hi, my name is Rick Moule. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Criminology here at the University of South Florida. Most of my research looks at how technology influences individual behavior as well as the relationship between the public and the police. So in 2015, President Obama organized the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. And part of what this task force was designated to look at was the events of Ferguson and the police response that was seen in Ferguson, including issues of police militarization. The task force concluded that there were serious concerns with police acquisition and use of military surplus weapons, equipment, vehicles, and the like, because it might damage the relationship between the public and the police. Part of the considerations with my research was that even though the task force made that acknowledgement, there wasn't a lot of empirical data looking at the relationship between police militarization and public trust or confidence in the police. My research fills that gap by looking at how people feel about police acquisition and use of surplus military equipment and the factors that influence those perceptions. Part of my hope with my research is giving policymakers and stakeholders information that they need to make decisions that are best for their community. Having policies in place, implementing new laws that provide guidance to agencies or best practices to agencies when they're considering acquiring or deploying this type of equipment. It's also filling gaps in knowledge about how the public thinks and feels and the things that policymakers and practitioners can do that will influence how the public feels about them. So currently I teach undergraduate courses in the criminology department, including gangs, research methods, and criminological theory. Where I see my research fitting in terms of my teaching is taking real world problems and applying the theories that we study into those real world settings. So for example, theories of police legitimacy argue that the way the police treat the public influences the way the public feels about the police. My research takes that and applies it in the context of police militarization. As my students move into the field, into their careers, I want them to see how theory can guide practice, right? The best evidence and the best practices that we have in law enforcement, in corrections, in rehabilitation, and in treatment are all motivated by theory, some in criminology, some in other disciplines. Students need to be aware of those theories and understand how those theories can translate into policies, practices, and procedures that help keep communities safe and healthy.